The International Criminal Court has come under fire from the United States of America after it emerged that the ICC is considering issuing a warrant of arrest against Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Yesterday at the Security Council, the prosecutor tried to push back. This also comes at a time when all eyes are on the International Court of Justice, as it's expected to hear South Africa's presentation, where Pretoria is requesting the World Court to put more measures against Israel in light of the IDF attacks in Rafah. For a discussion on the ICC, we're joined by former International Criminal Court prosecutor Phakiso Mochochoko. Good evening, Mr. Mochochoko, and thank you very much for your time. Firstly, your reaction to the United States firing warning shots at the prosecutor as well as the ICC in the wake of the reports that an arrest warrant may be issued soon?
Well, that's not surprising, really. Good evening to you and to everybody else. That's not surprising. I think we have seen this in the past where the U.S. did actually, in fact, issue some warnings, but did not issue warnings, but actually issued sanctions against the previous prosecutor and myself for what we were doing in pursuit of justice. So the fact that the United States is now issuing these warnings to the prosecutor is not something that should be surprising.
As you state, you particularly are all too familiar with threatened sanctions during your time as a prosecutor. Perhaps unpack that for us just a little bit.
Well, unlike now, where the prosecutor is being warned, when we were being issued with those sanctions, there was no warning at all. We are just doing our work, pursuing justice, both in Afghanistan as well as in Palestine. We started work in Palestine as well as in Afghanistan. And that seems to have attracted the ire of the United States in them issuing the sanctions against us. So it's something that is we know of, is something that happened, and something that could actually happen now with the current prosecutor and his staff if the United States becomes serious about this issue.
How much distress does it cause to an individual, but also how much of an impact does it have on the prosecutor's work?
Well, on the prosecutor's work, it doesn't have much impact because the prosecutor is independent and the office will continue carrying out its work as long as the prosecutor does not go to the U.S., because all it does is to bar the prosecutor and his staff from going to the U.S. But the prosecutor and the office can still continue carrying their work in the field wherever they are collecting the evidence. But on a personal basis, it does have an impact. It means that you cannot do anything. It means that your finances are all frozen. You're almost a terrorist or a money launderer or anybody or those pariahs in the international community. Your bank accounts are frozen. You cannot do anything. That's the only thing that has that much on a personal basis. And the frustration that you have in that you cannot transact, you cannot do anything, you cannot send money to your relatives, to your family. You're just stuck. That's it.
Then to that reported imminent issuance of an arrest warrant, talk us through that process, because there are several misconceptions around the workings of the ICC, with some even incorrectly believing that the issuance of a warrant would lead to an immediate arrest and trial.
The issuance of an arrest warrant, the process leading to the issuance of an arrest warrant is quite a long and cumbersome one. The prosecutor has got to collect evidence. The processes of the ICC are evidence-based. They are not based on the whims of anyone. They are evidence-based. And it's only if the prosecutor has collected enough evidence that satisfies the threshold, the legal threshold, for assessment by the judges, that he will proceed to issue arrest, or he'll proceed to request arrest warrants. And the arrest warrants are issued by the judges, not by the prosecutor. The prosecutor only makes a request upon or on the basis of the evidence that he has collected, and he has got to satisfy himself and also satisfy the judges that the evidence that he has collected meets the legal requirement, the legal threshold, and that must be satisfied to the judges. And it is only if the judges are satisfied that the evidence collected by the prosecutor meet that threshold that they will consider issuing an arrest warrant against anyone.
Then to another one. The jurisdiction. I want us to unpack that and the fact that the ICC can also prosecute crimes committed on the territory of a state that is party to the treaty, even if those who committed the offense are not party to the Rome Statute. Just talk to us about jurisdiction.
Now, the ICC statute is clear, the Rome Statute is clear on that while it has got jurisdiction in all countries or states that have ratified or that has accepted the jurisdiction of the ICC. That is clear. But if any other state that is not a party to the ICC Rome Statute commits a crime, or not a state, but if individuals of a state that is not a state party to the Rome Statute, if those people commit crimes in the territory of a state party, then the ICC immediately has got jurisdiction upon those people. Right. It is that now you cannot go, even if you're not a state party, you cannot go into a state party and then commit crimes in the territory of that state party. And if you do so, then you're going to be held accountable, even if you are not a state, even if your state is not a party to the Rome Statute itself. This in itself was intended to ensure that no one goes unpunished, or no one goes not to be criminally accountable for the crime that he commits anywhere in the territory of a state party.
Mm-hmm. And I suppose that's what we saw with Russia. But then in closing, just your views on Egypt joining South Africa's case at the ICJ.
Many countries are doing that now. I think the process by South Africa in the ICJ has appealed to many people or to many states. They are seeing that now the atrocities that are being committed in Palestine are the ones that cannot be tolerated. And therefore their conscience and everything else about them tells them now this is a cause worth joining. And therefore, like Egypt has joined, maybe there will be many other countries that this process will appeal to their conscience, and they will also want to join South Africa in its spearheading these processes against Israel in the ICJ.
Phakiso, thank you very much for your insights this evening. That was former International Criminal Court prosecutor Phakiso Mochochoko.